So last night was AEW All Out 2024, basically a week and a half after All In. So they still had plenty of time to build up with it, even with just 2 Dynamites, 2 Rampages, and 2 Collisions. But with that said, a lot of people have been talking about All Out for numerous reasons, and if not very obvious reasons, especially when you look at some of the matches that took place last night, and the moments as well. And because there were some things that happened during this event that just, left you just, just completely stunned, in a way. Because we all know that AEW, they can kind of walk the very thin razor's edge, if you will, when it comes to allowing certain wrestlers, men and women, to go as violent and as extreme as they want to. And a lot of people look at last night as just being like, AEW, taking some of the more slightly violent matches, or the allowingness of violence, and just upping it to the upteenth level almost, because some of the things that happened last night, just again, people were shocked. I mean, first of all, you had the Chicago street fight between Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale. For some odd reason, they decided not to make it a CMLL Women's World Championship match, which, it's kind of weird, since, Chris Statlander won a fatal 4-way, I think it was on Collision, to get that shot. And, it was advertised the entire time that, that it was going to take place at All Out. I mean, they even dedicated a mixed tag match at All In, on All In 0 Hour, to where the winning team gets to name the stipulation, for the match, when it comes to, the championship being on the line. And all of a sudden, just out of the blue, I guess CMLL, talked to Tony Khan and said, "No, Tony, we're not letting you switch the title over to Statlander because we're cool with Willow." And maybe it also interfered with their plans to have Willow drop it to somebody on their roster. That's just my thoughts. But anyway, the match between them, a lot of people felt was, in a dead spot, because it had to follow the awesome, Pac, Ospreay match. But, apparently they were able to step up their game and really just go out and, do something that rarely gets done, and that's follow up on what is considered to be the match of the night, if not the weekend. And that's what Willow and Chris did. And the reason people, want to lump this in as part of, being shocked and awed and everything, is because, of course, in the street fight, you expected a lot of plunder. Barbed wire bats, thumbtacks and everything. You expect, tables, light tubes, you name it. You expected that all to come into play, and it did. It all came into play. I mean, Willow takes a light tube and smashes it over Statlander's head. You have chains involved. I mean, Statlander used the chain to choke out Willow, basically, in a sense, protecting Willow, because she didn't tap, she just passed out. So you have that. You have that moment. You have them going through, tables. Not just regular tables, but announce tables, even to the point that Statlander, power bombs Nightingale, onto the Spanish announce table, and instead of instantly, falling apart upon the impact of the power bomb, instead it's like Willow, gets, dropped on it, and the vibration breaks it, causes it to fall apart afterwards. Like, her hitting it was so powerful that it just caused an aftershock, like, down goes the table afterwards. But that wasn't all either. One of the more notable spots is when Statlander spills a bag of thumbtacks into the ring, tries to set up Willow for an axe kick. Willow gets out of the way, and Statlander lands basically female genitalia first. I'm just going to put it that way. Female genitalia first, into the tacks while, as she's doing the splits. Because, again, she's trying to go for an axe kick on Nightingale, and instead ends up missing and doing the splits, and by doing so lands legs first in the split position, and female genitalia first into the tacks. And I mean, and that spot got people talking like, whoa, we've never seen a spot like that, especially and when it came to any women's hardcore match, street fight, whatever, Monsters Ball, you name it. We've never seen that. We've never seen that until now. But then it wasn't just, that match that got people talking. It was also the beginning of the event. You had Daniel Garcia against MJF. Basically, it was violent, not in forms of hardcore or anything, but violent in the form of a grudge match, hatred match, if you will. And yeah, MJF won with a roll-up, but then Daniel Garcia is like, screw this, I'm going to just, take care of this, I'm going to take you out anyway, I'm going to end this, or at least, put you away for a time. So what does he do? He basically low blows MJF, puts him onto the top rope, and hits him with a top rope pile driver, trying to break his neck. Now, apparently, according to news, that's supposed to write MJF off a bit because he's going to go film a movie. Whether or not MJF is able to find time to come back every now and then, we'll have to see. But apparently that was done in partial because of that. But that was like the first thing that got people talking. Then, like I said, you had the women's match, if you will, the women's street fight between Nightingale and Statlander. Then, and my knuckles just hit the wall there. And then you had Danielson and Jack Perry, which it was an okay match. There's no doubt about that. It was an okay match. But it was the aftermath that really got people talking, because here you have the BCC coming in, making it look like they're preventing Christian from cashing in on Danielson. But then, just as they're hugging and embracing Danielson, what do? Claudio hits a European uppercut on Danielson, which causes him to fall back, sit back a little bit in shock, like he can't believe what he just did. And then Moxley takes a plastic bag and puts it over Danielson's face, trying to suffocate him. And literally suffocates him to unconsciousness, to the point that you have to have medics come out and to give him oxygen, to resuscitate him, and take him out with a stretcher. And what's crazy about this, and even JD brought this up today on Twitter, aka X, he said, he basically brought up the fact that, because I guess no one else brought it up, you have Willer Utah, you have Utah, if you will, being held back by Pac because he can't believe what's going on. Here's basically, 2/3, here's basically like 1/3 of his, trios partners, aiding in this attack with that being Claudio, aiding in this attack with Moxley on Danielson, turning on him. You have Pac holding him back, that being Pac holding back Yuta, and it's like, what's going on? Why are they doing this and everything? And then you have Marina Shafir come in, kicking the referee out, and I guess you had Moxley also repeat what he had said previously on Dynamite, when he said, this is not your company anymore, to Danielson or to the camera or something. And then they leave. I don't know if I don't think Will or Utah, went with them, but still it's like, what is going on? And a lot of people made the assumption that this has to do maybe with Shane coming in, because outside of Utah, outside of Will or Utah, and well, not Danielson, but outside of Willer, Utah, and everything, 3 of the men that turned on Danielson, who's also a former WWE guy, or former WWE guys themselves. So it makes you wonder. It makes you kind of curious. But outside of that, that wasn't the most talked about. What was the most talked about is the match that came afterwards, the unsanctioned Lights Out match, which apparently in story AEW has no jurisdiction over. They have no responsibility. Although there was a moment in the match where the referee took or took the steel cage or prevented Hangman from hitting Swerve with the steel chair, if you will, in the match. And you're wondering, why is he doing that? This is, not sanctioned by AEW. What's going on here? I think the referee may have had a mind lapse right there. Like he had a brain fart when he did that. Like he forgot, oh, this is unsanctioned, so you can do whatever they want. But yeah, this match was violent, beyond belief. Probably the most violent cage match you're ever going to see, outside of Hell in a Cell like matches. Because these guys, from the start of the bell, did everything they could to basically make you believe they wanted to kill each other. From Swerve attacking Hangman as the cage is lowering down, trying to get it to decapitate Hangman's head, to basically them using a cinder block, on each other with a vertebreaker by Swerve to Hangman, and the Hangman powerbombing Swerve onto it, an actual cinder block shoot, legit, if you will, to them using staples on each other, and everything, staple gun, barbed wire, you name it, pieces of, Swerve's burnt house now, and all that. And then to top it all off, you have Hangman take the grill out of Swerve's mouth and then go over to this box he had brought with him and bring out a freaking syringe. A freaking syringe. Yes. A needle, and stick it in Swerve's mouth, numbing him. And there's part of that needle sticking out from the other end. And it's like what is going on here, And then all of a sudden, even though they tried to cut away to the crowd, you have Hangman take the chair that they've been using on each other and basically, like a freaking gun or cannon or whatever going off, basically whack it right on top of Swerve's head, and Swerve is out, and that's how the match ends. Now, we don't know if this is going to write Swerve. This is meant to write Swerve off for a couple of months. It's going to write both men off. I don't know. But the reason I bring this all up is because of the fact that a lot of people look at this. A lot of people are looking at this, if you will, and they're wondering if AEW went too far. And I would say if it was on regular TBS, TNT, cable television, then yeah, they might go too far and they might get in trouble. But this is pay-per-view, so you can get away with a little bit more here, or you would think. I mean, let's not forget Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker did what they did during St. Patrick's Day, or St. Patrick's Slam, St. Patrick's Day Slam or something like that. So who am I to say that maybe TNT and TBS would feel they went a little too far or not? But still, basically, a lot of people looked at this and they're like, okay, AEW has gone hardcore before. They have gone hardcore before, but nothing like this. Nothing like this. Because to them, it's like, okay, we can understand Swerve and Hangman, doing what they did in the Texas Death Match and all that. And the drinking, and you would think, okay, the drinking of each other's blood is taking it a step too far, and it is. But then you look at this match and you're like, did he just use a freaking needle, a syringe to numb, the other man, to numb Swerve's mouth? Because a lot of people said you saw like the end of the needle stick out of his skin. And what's crazy is people are like, well, this is acceptable with GCW, CZW, it's acceptable there, but, because they're smaller than, they're smaller basically than AEW and WWE and even TNA, it's acceptable in those companies, but, when it comes to the second biggest company, in the country, if not the world, it's like, what is Tony Khan thinking? What is he allowing? And again, this just proves to some people that Tony Khan is just an insane fan that wants to see the wrestlers, the men and women, go out there and basically do what they do best, and that's I guess have a good match, that might tie in with a story that he feels needs to be needs to feel legit or something. Like, I don't know. It was just crazy, and you got to wonder if there will be any repercussions. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I'm Tony Khan, honestly, I said this on Twitter after last night, he might as well rename AEW from All Elite Wrestling to All Extreme Wrestling. Yeah, because after what happened last night, I don't know how you can even be, I don't know how people can look at AEW as nothing more than a modern day hybrid of WCW, ECW, but more ECW than WCW. I don't know how they cannot look at it as a hybrid. I don't know. I don't know, really. But it's just amazing, in my opinion. It is just amazing to see how far they're willing to go. That being Tony Khan, he's willing to go to get people talking about AEW. And I guess he feels like, hey, go out there, guys and gals, and if you got a hardcore match, go as crazy as you want to, go as ultra violent as you want to. I want people talking. Well, if that's the speech he gave to the roster, but mostly gave it to the likes of Statlander and Nightingale and Hangman and Swerve, and then gave the okay to Moxley to do what he did to Danielson. If it's going to get people talking, then so be it. And you know what's crazy? You want to talk about potential, employer-employee disagreement and everything. That plastic bag spot with Moxley, Eddie Kingston wanted to do that. Tony Khan shot it down. Moxley does it. Tony Khan's fine with it. So it shows that even Tony Khan, like Vince McMahon, when he was still running things, has his favorites. But, yeah, now the question is, will there be repercussions? Will there be repercussions handed to AEW because of what they did? I don't know. Did they go too far? I don't know. But honestly, again, if I'm Tony Khan, I would just come out on Dynamite this Wednesday and basically say, welcome to the rebirth of AEW, but no longer will it be known as All Elite Wrestling. No, it shall be known going forward as All Extreme Wrestling. If I'm Tony Khan, I would just come out and do that on Wednesday. I should, because you're still calling it AEW, you're just replacing, the Elite with Extreme. That's all you're doing. Or wait to the 5th anniversary show. Wait to the 5-year anniversary show in October and do it. Because that way you're keeping it AEW, but you're rechristening it All Extreme Wrestling. To me, either this Wednesday or the 5th anniversary show in October is, to me, the best opportunity to do something like that. Because after last night, I don't know how people are going to be able to look at AEW the same. Because again, it's one thing to allow certain wrestlers to go out, and have violent matches because the storyline for the feuds and the rivalries call for it. But it's another to basically use one pay-per-view and say, hey, this is our answer to WWE Extreme Rules. You know what? And you know what? What's crazy? I'm trying to think about what I want to say here. You know what's crazy? Some people even almost mispronounced it as bad blood. So you have to wonder, maybe that's what Tony's intentions were too, to outdo WWE before they have bad blood, and basically say, okay, WWE, you got your bad blood pay-per-view coming up, top this. You got to wonder if maybe that was his intention. I don't know. But, yeah. Yeah, I'm telling you. He wanted people to talk about AEW all out, whether they were able to watch it or not, or keep tabs with it through social media, like I did. If he wanted them to talk about it, he's got people talking about it. He does. So, we'll just see what the next course of action is for AEW, whether or not they will face repercussions, whether or not, you know, he'll come out either this Wednesday or on the 5th anniversary and say, hey, we'll be christening ourselves AEW All Extreme Wrestling. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. But let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know how you felt if you watched All Out or you paid attention to it through social media. What were your thoughts on some of the moments that happened there, especially with the unsanctioned steel cage? Let me know. What do you think about this whole BCC turning on Danielson and by extension Yuta? You know, what are your thoughts on that? And how do you think Shane McMahon might play into that? Let me know what your thoughts are on the women's street fight and everything. Where do you think they go from there? And why do you think it was changed from being a CMLL Women's World Title match? Also, guys, let me know what your thoughts were with Garcia pile driving MJF the way he did. Let me know what your thoughts overall on this are. And let me know if you think maybe Tony Khan should just rechristen it All Extreme Wrestling from All Elite Wrestling and still keep it as AEW. Let me know. Comment below. Like the video. Oh, ring the bell for notifications. Subscribe to the channel. Also, check out my Teespring store. Link is in the description. Also, check out where you can find my content elsewhere here on the internet from rumble.com, odyssey.com, divanart.com at BVW1979. Also, check me out over on all your favorite podcast outlets like Spotify for Podcasters, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Radio Public. You name it, Pandora, you will find me. And links are in the description. But guys, give me your thoughts overall. Love to hear what you had to think about all this. And until next time, I am out.